I'm here with my good buddy, Jon Schumacher, who is, I would say, the smartest guy I know on the planet when it comes to webinar marketing. He's also hosting the upcoming Webinar Mastery Summit. And if there's a link somewhere around this video, do yourself a favor and click that. Now, we were just having a fairly casual conversation about a whole bunch of stuff. And then Jon pulled this up on the screen. What the heck is this, my friend?
Yeah, so this is basically an application funnel that you can use. So if you're a B2B consultant or a coach or a service company, and you sell through a conversation with a client, like you book sales calls, enrollment calls, this is a machine that you can build in a number of different ways to help bring you more clients, both in an automated version and then off of your live webinars. So basically, the building blocks for this, you have traffic on the left-hand side. Hopefully you guys can see my pointer here okay.
Yeah, that's great.
You have traffic on the left-hand side. You have a lead capture page, which is basically your email opt-in. A short form video webinar. Now this can just be a standard like 18 to 25 minute presentation. This could be an automated version or a live sequence as well. I'll talk about that in a second. But basically from there, we take them to a calendar, to a questionnaire or a diagnostic, as James calls it, to find out more about them and their abilities as a lead. We then start what we call a pre-frame process, which is really the missing piece in most webinar funnels where, you know, if you just have someone book and then you show up on a call, you have to start all over with your marketing and your message. You want to actually have a pre-frame process in place here. So there's usually a short video on here as well as some testimonials, some other content they can view on this page. We also send that same content via email. You can also use ads. We talked about going kind of really deep in Ninja on that with Google ads and other things like that, retargeting ads.
Chase them around the interwebs.
Yep, and they're in your bubble then, so to speak. So this can be done automated, so you can run joint venture traffic, ad traffic, organic Google search traffic to a page where they then watch a short presentation. And this could be an automated presentation, just a recorded video. They book a call, they fill in the information to let you know they're a qualified lead, and then they start becoming what I call the second wave of indoctrination over here on the left-hand side, like a double dip, right? The webinar is one form, and then you got the double dip over here with the pre-frame process. If you're doing live webinars, what you could do is you could use your Zoom, you could use your GoToWebinar, your Webinar Jam, whatever you're using here as a live webinar. And then what you can do is have a vanity URL that you send people to either verbally and or through the webinar chat. That's really your schedule page that then they fill out a questionnaire and go through the same funnel as well. So you can use this in a live. I use this for live versions and also for automated versions to book more quality leads.
Well, that's what I was about to say. What's really interesting is that the webinar component here is not necessarily, or doesn't have to be, the traditional idea of a webinar that we all have, where people register, they catch up on a certain day, everybody's online, all at the same time if it's live, and then we have our follow-up. There's the evolution of that, which is an evergreen webinar, is designed to feel live, but you have to book it at a certain time. This is almost just like having a video on a page. It's on-demand training, yeah?
That's how I operate. I'm a pretty simple guy. I call myself a simpleton. And my clients, we snicker about that as well. Yes, this is just a recorded video on a page. Basically, it's usually short, especially for B2B. If you have a clear, easily defined offer, usually in 18 to 25 minutes, you can easily make the case for why they should talk to you about it. And then we go through the process from there. So, it's just for the automated version, there's no fancy, fake live or anything. It's basically, I'm a big fan of getting your offer dialed in really well, charging a lot for your offer, getting a really good clear offer, installing that into a marketing message in the form of a presentation, and letting that do the work for you. I find that the best buyers there's people that have more money than time and more time than money.
Yeah.
Right. And the people that have more money than time, usually if you'll perk their interest, they'll take an action, but they don't want to go through a lot of BS. So yeah, that's kind of my philosophy.
PWMs, players with money. If your target audience does not have money, it's going to make it very difficult to run a business. Now, it's quite late in your part of the world. It's quite early in my part of the world. Before you get on with your evening, could you show us your pre-frame page?
Sure. So again, people have opted in. They've watched a presentation. They've booked a call. They filled in a questionnaire or a diagnostic. Now they're on this page right over here, which is called the PreFrame. And basically, I don't know if anybody's read Warren Cleff's Pitch Anything book, but he talks a lot about pre-framing. What happens before something happens makes such a big difference in your marketing, right? And I believe your marketing should do 90% of the lifting for your sales. Like, I mean, you shouldn't have to like be really juggling and dancing on one foot and everything to close a deal, right? You should,
Yeah.
marketing, if done well, should do that. And I call it a double dip, right? Your webinar, and then you're on the pre-frame section. So the pre-frame is that second indoctrination process. So we have a short video here, 90 seconds. I like to show my face, looking cool and dapper in my blazer there. And basically I repeat what's down here. So basically what to do to get ready for that. So I say, hey, congrats, I got your questionnaire, or hey, I got your diagnostic. Here's what to do next. And then I'll tell them, like, first, below this, I've shared a few pieces of content I'd like you to review before the call. This helps you get familiar with me and who I've helped and my teaching style and my personality. This will help us make the most out of our time. If you have a business partner, make sure they review my materials and or come to the call with you so we can help speed up the decision-making process, because that happens too often.
Yeah.
And again, kind of reinforcing, do your due diligence on me. So not everybody can do this, but like if you Google me or YouTube me, there's stuff all over the interwebs. I want them looking at stuff in what's called the invisible funnel, right? So it's like, basically there's the linear funnel, like we're talking about, and then there's the shadow or invisible funnel that's, okay, someone sees this page and they go and Google you. What do they see? Like there's all these other aspects on the internet. I want to leverage that invisible funnel as well before the call. Again, they've already booked, they're already a lead, but what we're doing is we're wowing them and we're indoctrinating them a second time, and we're building authority before they speak to us, which is some of the biggest objections. So I show them that there. They then fill in I then even give them some materials to read, both on this page and then via email as well.
Yeah, so these are testimonials and case studies, which is the authority proof point, and it comes straight after you say, do your research on me.
Yep.
Find out
so hey, by the way, here's a bunch of people that made a bunch of money working with me. I have them in video format. You should be collecting testimonials. If you haven't been, shame on you. You should start doing that right now.
Yeah.
Video is best. Text is second best. If you don't have a sexy little like Kartra page here like I have, which kind of breaks it down. I don't know if it's that sexy, but it's what I'm using right now. It probably could be better, but anyway, loads a little slow, but it works. Testimonial wall, just and if you don't have something like this, you just upload your videos to a YouTube playlist. Just have them on a playlist and let people just binge watch them. Just binge.
Hot tip. If you've got testimonials, like a lot of them, that whole onslaught is obviously the best thing to do, because what happens is most people don't watch all of them; they just watch some of them. But the impression that they get is that this person is fantastic. If you've only got 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, I'd actually say have one really amazing one. Because if you only have 3 or even 4, studies have shown that people will read all 3 or all 4 and they'll disqualify themselves. They'll say, oh, I'm not exactly like one of those businesses, so I'm not going to be that person. You're better off having one amazing catch-all one, or just have this onslaught. Just a little bit of a side tip there. You talked about the psychology of Warren Clef. That there was the psychology of somebody else. I can't remember who.
Somebody else, random, anonymous. Yep. Okay, cool. Yep. So yes, so testimonials, authority content. So if you have authority content, leverage that. Like speeches are one thing. Now, if you're not a speaker, no worries. But if you got a sizzle reel, if you got something sexy to share with them, even if they don't watch it, like not everybody watches a 46-minute video, but they see me like, oh, look at John. He's so sexy and cool on stage. And he's just like, wow, like he's got the sexy graphic and he looks so bad. This is great, right? Like what a badass.
Yeah.
So like,
I'll tell you what, you look like the most polite badass I've ever seen.
I'm a polite badass, but like some people will watch this whole thing.
Yeah.
Most people won't, but what am I doing? I'm seeding authority, right? And those kind of things. And
the audience is spending a lot of time in your company. So when you do get them on the phone, they've seen all those ads all over that have been stalking all over the interwebs. They've watched something. They feel like they know you.
So gather pre-call content. I don't care if you're manually reaching out to people on LinkedIn. Like I added this process to a publishing company. They're on like a 7-figure run rate. they were blown away just by adding this one piece to their process, because they weren't running this, and I don't know how long we want to record this. They weren't running this classic funnel, but they were doing like interviews, and then they had like a process off the interview. So they were using LinkedIn to generate interviews for a book interview, and those people were all their leads. But what they did at a certain point was they added in this pre-call process before they got to the actual sales meeting, and it significantly reduced their tire kickers. Their close rate went way up, and she was just like, "Thank you so much. This is incredible." Like this one piece just like really made a lot of things easier. And your salespeople will give you a huge kiss, because again, your marketing should do 90% of the selling. And by the time that, again, you want case studies, you want authority content. If you don't have that, then do what James does. Have like a couple videos, or at least one good video that they can watch that really goes through some of the big things that you do for people and all that. But for God's sakes, don't just book a call. I don't care if you're using LinkedIn manually or Facebook manually or webinar funnels like this. For God's sakes, don't book a meeting and not give people stuff to chew on beforehand. That's just a sin.
We call it elevating anticipation before the meeting, and there is a ton of different ways to do that. And that is one of the best examples that I've ever seen. So thank you, Jon, for taking a little bit of time out at the end of your day, and everyone who's watching this and have begun to realize what an insane breadth of knowledge this guy has. Just imagine if you registered for the Webinar Mastery Summit, because it's not just going to be Jon, it's going to be a whole bunch of cool speakers from all over the world talking about all aspects of webinar marketing. Thank you so much, Jon.
All right. Take care. Thanks.